finishing my undergrad, I would be reading Matthew 25, which is the Last Judgment Gospel, where Christ asked, did you feed the hungry? Did you clothe the naked? Did you visit the prisoners, the widows, the orphans? And I would be looking at that icon, and I'm like, man, I do not have an answer for this. This is not a good thing. You know, before I die, I better come up with something. And I would be seeing people on Facebook begging from Africa all the time. And I was like, man, I'd really love to be able to help you, but I don't know you. And everybody here has heard of the Nigerian scammers and, you know, just on and on and on. So how do you trust and how do you know who you can help, but still give yourself to fulfilling the Great Commission that we read about in the Gospel at the baptism today? Go ye therefore and make me disciples of all nations. And eventually, in my time there, I saw another missionary that had gone to Africa, and they had visited a mission that I had seen begging, not for money on Facebook. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I know you're real. I know you're legitimate. I can actually go help you. And so the next question was like, what do I do? You know, I'm a monk. Yeah, I don't have a lot of money. I'm a college student and a monk, so that's like double broke. And so I was just thinking, okay, what do I do? How do I help? How do I come up with the answer to Christ's question at the Last Judgment? Did I feed the hungry? Did I clothe the naked? You know, and eventually it came to me as I was sitting in front of my computer. I'm like, duh, I have a very nice computer. I have very good internet connection. I can help tell the story. I can help this mission reach out to other people who do have the financial means to help and can make a bigger difference in their life in helping build the community. And then, so I was like, okay, I think that's what we'll do. Let's do a website. So, the next part was, oh, I don't know how to do a website. Darn it. So I had to go find somebody. And I found a friend that had a website, or knew how to do websites. And she's like, you know, I've been talking to this other mission from Kenya, and I think we should help them too. I was like, okay, we'll do that. And so I started talking to this priest in Kenya, and he's like, you know, Father, you can't tell the story of Africans unless you've been here. Oh, yeah. Darn. 3 months later, I found myself on a flight to Bangkok, landing in Nairobi. And I say that because I've always loved Asia. Asia's been where my heart is, but God has other plans. And so that's where I ended up. So that's the big part of what Father Adams mentions. So, you know, Africa was never my choice, but that's where God put me. So I really got there, and I fell in love with the church there. I was going through Kibera slums, which is the second largest slum in the world. It's about 5 million people crammed into a 2 square mile area, and just raw sewage running through the streets, just absolute squalor. And I was really asking myself, okay, what can we really do to help these people? You know, and so I would tour other organizations. There's all sorts of. We've spent trillions of dollars in Africa trying to fix the problems, and nothing seems to change. And so I was like, okay, well, why? And I went to a nonprofit organization that had decided the best way to help lift people out of poverty was to give them the ability to support themselves. So they picked this group of women, and they said, okay, we are going to teach these women how to sew these beautiful African dresses and purses and all sorts of stuff. And they're going to be able to sell that, and they're going to be able to lift themselves out of poverty. Sounds like a great idea, right, so far? Okay, well, problem is they're in the slums. They do not have access to the internet. They don't have access to the international market. and nobody locally needs what they have, or could afford it even if they did need it. So some organization came in and spent at least $500,000 teaching these women a skill that is useless because they can't sell their products. So the women are no better off than they were before. And so this was very formative to me. It was like, okay, well, how do we help these churches, how do we help eliminate poverty, help these churches become self-sustaining and build their own temples, afford to pay their own priests and whatnot. And so the idea about employment was right. And the difference is we try not to come in and tell people, okay, this is how this is going to work for you. I'm not trying to, I never tell an African how to be an African, unlike a lot of other missions. And but the requirements that we have developed with our missions is to come up with a project that produces a commodity that is both needed and affordable to the local community. And most of the missions that we have 5 now in Kenya and Uganda, and we're working on developing missions in Rwanda and Burundi in partnership with Metropolitan Inocentios of Burundi and Rwanda. And so we help, our take on missions is helping these missions develop income-generating projects that will support local missionary efforts. So that priests, instead of being online begging, trying to come up with ways to feed their family, are actually out there spreading the gospel. So I see myself as kind of the guy behind the scenes, trying to take care of the nitty-gritty administrative details, so that the priests who have that frontline responsibility of spreading the gospel are free to do that and don't have to worry about, where their kids are going to get their meal today. So, that's kind of a brief history of where we're at. I'm going back on Wednesday. We're working very hard. Most of our missions have decided the commodity that they wanted to trade in was education, so we build schools. I've got a couple of projects in the wings. One of the things that we're really looking at right now is St. John Maximovich Secondary School, which we've been saving for about 4 years. Managed to just sock away about $30,000, which is not anywhere near what we need. But we're hoping to combine a secondary school with a crisis pregnancy center. Because one of the big problems that we have is young women having kids, having to drop out of school to either take care of their kids or not being able, or having to give up their kids so that they can finish school, take care of themselves, whatnot. And so this is the latest project that we're trying to do, is try to help maintain the family, keep the family together, and allow these young women to continue their education and hopefully break the chains of, or the cycle of poverty in the next generation. Let's see. Trying to do Rwanda and Burundi. Rwanda and Burundi are very difficult because of government regulations. We can't have a priest that just shows up with a suitcase with his vestments and antimons and say, okay, let's serve liturgy under the tree over here and build up a community. They have to have a temple in place that's constructed to specific standards. So, where in America, like your mission in Culpeper, you start with a group of people. That group of people builds up, and then eventually they have enough money to build the temple, and you can go on. But here we have to go in the exact opposite. Somehow we have to get the money for the temple, and then go out there and get the people. So that makes things complicated. That's one of the things I'll be working on this next year. And then probably the most exciting thing right now is I will be speaking at the Orthodox Christian Youth Network Young Adult Group December 9th through the 12th. That's what I'm going over here for this next time. And it's in central Uganda. And we are bringing all the young adults together from Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda's actually got political issues now, so we can't do that this year. But eventually, we're trying to inculcate all the young adults there with this self-sustaining ethos so that people, they do not feel dependent on the Greeks or the Americans or the Russians or something like that. So we want to build a solid African Orthodox church. So that's kind of an overview, and it's kind of a little bit over around the world. Is there any questions? Maybe I could clarify some places where I might have left off. I'm trying not to keep you guys very long, so I'm running at 100 miles an hour.
Do you work with Bishop Neokipos?
No. I've met with him, but no. Okay. We are not working with his guys. I was working with Bishop Athanasius prior to his draft. Okay. And then we got Archbishop Makarios is the bishop of most of our missions in Kenya. And Bishop St. Barnabas is Archbishop Makarios in Nairobi. Okay. And then we've got Bishop Marcos at Kisumu. And then Uganda's in flux again.
Did you work with Metropolitan Jonah before that?
Yes. Yeah. And also we have one ROCOR mission, the only ROCOR or Russian church in sub-Saharan Africa on Bakassa Island, which is a tropical paradise. And come up with some money, I'll send you out there for vacation. And I'd be very glad to see you. We're actually trying to turn that the way they want to turn that into a self-sustaining mission and to be able to support priests in the future is ecotourism. It's an equatorial island. It's a tropical paradise. I picture waking up with the monkeys and just reaching out of your hammock and grabbing any fruit you could possibly want. It's as close to Eden as I've come. So that's one of the things. Hopefully, I'm trying to get. I have to fly over to Ukraine and talk to a bunch of a youth group there. I'm trying to get them to take it over, but yeah, so what's the gospel say? The fields are ripe for harvest and the laborers are few.
Right. When you go to Europe, you go for Orthodox Africa as well, right? To get support.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I've got presentations to do Romania and Ukraine so far this year, maybe Georgia. We're working on that.
I need to figure out an excuse to go with you to Georgia.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Has anyone ever told you you look like St. John Maximovich?
Definitely not. But St. Ephraim of Neomakri over there, I was at his relics, and they've got an icon there at his relics that I took a picture of, and everybody's like, "Oh, you two look alike." But I don't know why.
Do you know Deacon John Gresham?
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times, but I don't know him real well.
Okay, I think he's been to Africa once, but he's very interested in promoting missions there as well.
Yeah, we're we're kind of the redheaded stepchild of missions organizations. That kind of just goes with my personality, but we're really just focusing on. We want to stand up the local clergy. We don't want to see this dependency. And part of this is coming at it as I am, as a social worker.
Yeah.
I want to empower the local people to take care of themselves. I don't want to see them, God willing, someday before I die, I'll be able to scroll all the way through Facebook and not see a single African priest begging for me. Probably never done that, but that's the goal,
Father, what is the best way to give to Orthodox Africa? How do we?
You can always. I've got postcards over here. I'll be passing it out. Actually, at Trapeza, we'll do that. Okay. Got postcards. You can look us up on Facebook, on our website. If you want to make donations now, I can take them. Whatever. Checks are made to Orthodox Africa. But don't spend all your money. Because the other thing, Father Adam invited a burglar through the front door. Except I'll just be transparent about that. I got a lot of books back there for the monastery, and I'd like to take a lot of books, or I would like to not take any books home. Hopefully we can sell you all of them before this is over, and for Christmas presents and stuff like that. So I tried to bring a selection that would be hopefully good for Christmas presents.
You can take plastic, right?
Yes. Do you have a credit card reader? Any other questions? No, I went real fast. So.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Don't forget to make